Good afternoon and welcome into your Advanced Performance Management class. I hope all is well on your side. So today we are going to start with topic 2, performance hierarchy. Okay. In our first class, this is second session of APM. In our last class on last Sunday, that was our first session, we discussed the basics of strategic management accounting and advanced performance management. I mean, we discussed basic things, okay, such as what are strategic objectives, what is strategic planning, what are strategic controls, and then what is the role of strategic management accounting to help organizations to achieve their strategic plans, strategic objectives, strategic goals, and ensure there are strategic controls in place. Okay, so that was about our last class. Today we are going to start with performance hierarchy. This class or this topic has connection with our previous topic of strategic plans and strategic control. Okay, how? You can ask or you can think of how this can be connected with the strategic plans. There is very simple reason. Once an organization has developed its strategic plan, for example, I gave you example of many companies from the globe, okay? Such as I gave you example of Volkswagen, for example, or I gave you example of BMW, I gave you example of Starbucks or Coca-Cola or L'Oreal, okay, or Mars, how the multinational companies or those companies which are in Europe or in America, Canada, Australia, Japan, how are these companies transforming? So I am using word here, transforming towards sustainable development. How companies in advanced economies, companies in advanced economies are transforming their business models. How are they transforming their business model? That is a very interesting discussion. So when they are transforming their business models, they have strategic plans. They have strategic plans. For example, they have plans about their like supply chain, they have plans about their operations, they have plans there about processes, they have plans there about raw materials, such as, like, for example, agriculture companies, which are like agriculture companies such as we talk about Nestle or Unilever, okay? How are they ensuring sustainable agriculture? Understand? So the point here is that how those plans, how those strategic plans or those sustainable strategic plans can be implemented to the ground level, to at the bottom of the organization. So our today topic is about performance hierarchy. Performance hierarchy. Here you are going to learn that how to align strategic plans with operational plans. That is the point. That is the point. How to align strategic plans with operational plans. Okay, this is called performance hierarchy. Okay, let's have a quick look at the reading. The targets for managers throughout an organization should be consistent with each other. What is this? I give you more meaningful understanding. Targets for organization targets for managers should throughout the organization should be consistent with each other. What is this consistent with each other? This means, for example, a company decide that it will reduce its waste by 30% by 2025. Okay, a company set a target that it will reduce its waste by 30% by 2025, such as I gave you example of Starbucks, or we can talk about Adidas. For example, Adidas says that till 2025, 100% recycling plastic will be used in its production. Okay, recycled plastic it will use, mean it will not use new plastic in manufacturing of its products, or which are made from polyester. Okay, whether these are shirts, trousers, or shoes, you know, there is a massive amount of polyester is used in sports wear products. Okay, so Adidas says that 100% recycled plastic will be used in its products till 2025. Now, Adidas, this is a high level plan. This is a strategic plan. This is a strategic plan. Now, Adidas need to ensure how to implement it, because a plan without implementation, what is the value of that plan? So this, for this purpose, it needs performance hierarchy. Okay, let's come back to the point. The topic is the targets for managers throughout an organization should be consistent with each other. Means if the top level management has target 100% recycled plastic, at operational level, the managers should also have consistent plans. All managers and employees should be working towards the same goals. All managers should be at all levels. Now there are several levels within the organization. So all levels of the management should be working towards same goals. Okay. Consistency in setting performance targets can be achieved through a performance hierarchy. So here performance hierarchy can be used. Here performance hierarchy can be used to ensure that strategic plans are being implemented at the bottom of the organization. Linking the goals of the most senior management, the same, linking the goals of most senior management. These are the goals. These are the goals. 100% recycled plastic, 100% recycled plastic. Or Volkswagen says that, or BMW says, for example, that like 25% of its production will be electric vehicles till 2025. BMW, this is goals of BMW. Okay, BMW says 25% output EV by 2025. This is another goal. This is another strategic goal. So this is most senior management has goal with the targets for. So the operational management need to ensure that how this goal can be achieved. Okay, got it? At the top of the hierarchy, an organization might have a mission statement. A mission statement provides a framework for setting strategic objectives and for strategic planning. Within the framework of a strategic plan, management at the tactical level can prepare plans such as annual budgets, capital expenditure budgets, and marketing plan. So my dear, in short, in simple, planning at each level need to be consistent with the strategic level plan. This is the point here. that planning at each level of the organization must be consistent with each other or with corporate mission or corporate vision. Within the framework of tactical plans, operational managers can prepare operational plans and setting operational targets. So there are targets at each level of the organization. Okay, so this is called performance hierarchy. There are many ways to explain performance hierarchy, but I have produced here two ways for you to understand how performance hierarchy works. Here you can see in this first diagram, you see on the top, there is a mission or vision of the organization, vision or mission of the organization. Okay, there is a difference between vision and mission. Mission explains purpose of the organization. Why do we exist? Whereas vision of the organization explains where we want to be, where we want to be. So this is called vision of the organization. This vision or mission inspires strategic objectives, means strategic objectives or corporate objectives are derived from vision or mission of the organization. Then to achieve corporate objectives, strategies are designed. To achieve corporate objectives, okay, strategies are designed. Now, how to ensure strategic success? This is the point. How to ensure strategic success? I mean, how an organization can ensure that its strategy is working well. Very big point that you need to understand. How organization can ensure that its strategy is in right direction or the strategy is working well. So here are critical success factors. My dear, critical success factors are factors that ensure the strategy is in right direction, or in short, I can tell you, critical success factors are the factors that must be achieved, or where performance must be improved in order to achieve strategic success. So critical success factors are very important for the organization. Okay, now how to measure the critical success factors? How to measure critical success factors? Here are KPIs. So KPIs are basically used for measuring success in critical success factors. So you can look now at this performance hierarchy, how easily I have explained it for you. Okay, on the top there is a vision or mission inspire the organization. Then corporate objectives, such as corporate objectives of BMW, Volkswagen, Coca-Cola, Heinz, or like Adidas. Any company has its corporate objectives. Okay, so corporate objectives, how to achieve corporate objectives? It needs to focus on strategy. How to ensure strategy is in the right direction or strategy is successfully achieved? You need to work on critical success factors. How to ensure we are achieving our critical success factors? You need to measure in KPIs. So this is called performance hierarchy. Here is another way to look at performance hierarchy. Okay, so here is on the vision, then corporate objectives, and then there are 3 managerial levels. This topic has been tested in APM. APM questions are available on this. Okay, the 3 managerial levels and information requirement and measures, KPIs and measures. So performance hierarchy means how corporate objectives flow, how corporate objectives flow. from top to bottom of the organization. So here corporate objectives, then these objectives flow into strategic level measures, then these strategic level measures flow further to business level measures, and then these business level measures flow to the operational level measures. In this way, this is called performance hierarchy. Okay, and interesting point is that not only these hierarchy can be applied to the organizational level, but it can also be applied to the national level. Yes, a country can also use these performance hierarchy as well. My dear, that's it about this interesting topic, and now we are moving on. Align measures. Performance hierarchy can help the organization to align various measures. This is the point which you can highlight. Okay, align various measures. Absence of alignment of various measures is one of the mistakes which normally managers make when planning. That is the point. A lot of managers plan, but they don't align those plans. This is the problem. They don't align. Alignment is very critical factor. Okay, now, so when there is a measures, we need information systems. So organization will need to capture information to measure performance at various levels of hierarchy. Yes, my dear. For example, we are talking about sustainable business practices, such as sustainable business practices. When we talk about sustainable business practices, okay, so the organization need to measure at each level. For example, how much emissions, how much waste, how much electricity saving, how much the carbon capture, okay, how much the time is wasted or time is saved at each level of the organization. So you need information system to capture data for measures. My dear, organization will need to capture information to measure performance at various levels of hierarchy. You can study details of information system requirements in the section B of the syllabus. All right, I hope you have got now clear about performance hierarchy. Now we are moving on further towards mission statement. What is mission statement? In performance hierarchy, mission statement is on the top of the hierarchy. So you need to know what mission statement is. A mission is the mission, purpose of an entity, and reason of existence, reason for existence. The purpose of a mission statement is to provide a clear expression of reason why organization is in existence and what it is seeking to achieve. Because what is the purpose of existence? So what it is seeking to achieve. The content of mission statement varies between different organizations, but common elements are like as statement of purpose, a statement of broad strategy of the organization. Anyway, how the purpose, structure, and content of a mission statement impact on performance measurement and management. That is the point which you need to understand. And by the way, Question 1 of APM. Typically tests mission statement. Okay. Question 1 normally includes a discussion of mission statement. How the purpose, structure, and content of mission statement impact on performance measurement and management. The mission statement should guide all employees throughout an organization. Guide employees throughout an organization to work collectively towards the accomplishment of corporate vision, and may contain references to many stakeholder groups, such as, for example, shareholders, customers, employees, and general public. So mission statement work as a reference. While drafting mission statements, you must identify your guiding principles, values. Guiding principles mean values of the organization. Values, like as for example, honesty, inclusiveness, integrity, care for all, these type of things. Thinking about the principles that guide your organization will provide you with a more specific sense of purpose and direction. So, what are potential benefits of mission statement include providing strategic direction to the organization. Please have a look at the benefits of mission statement. Okay, so just you need to have a look. So few benefits should be on your fingertips of mission statement. Number one, it provides strategic direction to the organization. Strategic direction to the organization. Number two, it helps the company or organization to resolve any conflict. It provides a framework for managerial decision making. I mean, when the top management, the board level, or tactical management, or the lower management is making decisions, mission statement can provide a framework under which they can develop new decisions. Mission statement can also be used to establish corporate culture as well. Corporate culture of integrity, culture of transparency, culture of care, okay, culture of like sustainability. So it can help. Mission statement can therefore be used as a screening device for accepting or rejecting strategies. Mean if a strategy is aligned with mission, this is point you can take note. This means a strategy aligns with mission statement or not. Aligns with mission statement or not. Okay, screening. If a strategy aligns, then accept it. If strategy does not align, reject it. Mission statement can also be used to inspire employees. Inspire so they feel motivated, that they are working for some cause. They are working for something noble cause. They are working for something real, meaningful things. They are working for something impactful. Okay, and the one more. Mission statement can also be used to improve relationships, improve understanding, improve support of external stakeholder groups as well, such as like suppliers, such as customers, such as society, community, okay, and other pressure groups. So mission statement can be used. So my dear, I hope you have understood. Now look at the yellow highlighted area. Linking mission statement with performance management, measurement, and reporting are commonly tested area in advanced performance management. Commonly tested area in advanced performance management. Please take a note. Please take note. APM question 1. APM question 1 typically set APM question 1 typically set a question around performance reporting, where the question would require to evaluate current performance report. Evaluate current performance report. When evaluating a performance report, this is a very important point for learning. When evaluating performance report, you need to ensure the report has measures or KPIs reflecting a mission of the organization. Reflecting mission of the organization. There are KPIs reflecting mission of the organization. Okay. If the report lacking KPIs that focus on mission statement, that would be considered as a weakness. That would be considered as a weakness in the report, in the performance report. Performance report. Is it clear? This point is clear? Hello? The point is clear? Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now we are going to have a look at how this topic has been tested in recent past papers. I have just produced one. March 2017, question number 1. Company background, you can read. I'm just reading the question. Part 1, required or requested an evaluation of link between mission and KPIs. A link between mission and KPIs. A link between mission and KPIs. What this mean? This means whether there are measures or KPIs that reflect mission of the organization. Or in more simple words, I can say this would require would require that whether there are measures for mission of the organization, measures for mission of the organization, measures for mission of the organization. Okay. Let's have a read of examiner comments. Examiner comment. This required a common APM task of identifying the mission from the scenario. Candidates were good at repeating the mission statement from the question. That is a bad idea. Repeating. Candidates were good at repeating the mission statement from the question, but few showed appreciation of the structure of the mission and how certain goals were subsidiary to an overall aim. However, most scored reasonably well as they linked the indicators. Indicators mean KPIs. Indicators mean KPIs given to the parts of the mission. So this is basically the point, how you link or how the performance report link KPIs with the mission of the organization. I told you already, this is a typical question tested. And I think in our last session as well, in the last class, I emphasize on this point. My dear, here is for your interest. Here I have produced a case study from corporate world, business world case study. Okay, linking mission with strategy at Luxottica. Luxottica is, you might have heard about Luxottica. Luxottica is world largest eyewear manufacturer, Luxottica. So you can read this one and enjoy this case study. Okay. Our next topic is now critical success factors. We have just discussed about it. Now we are going to discuss in detail critical success factors. What are critical success factors? So, my dear, let's begin. Critical success factors refer to specific activities, processes, or areas that are necessary for an organization or project to achieve its mission, objectives, and for its continued survival. Critical success factors are unique to each organization. That is the point. Critical success factors are unique to each organization. For example, unique to each organization mean, if we look at Mauritius, okay, so over there are like a lot of companies such as critical success factors for like, let's say, sugar, in a company which is in sugar industry, such as Terra, for example. So the critical success factors for Terra would be different as compared to a company that is dealing in bricks, okay, such as Gamma, for example, okay, such as Gamma, or critical success factors for perfume retailers such as Mado would be different, whereas for Lux Cafe would be different. So the point here is that every organization, because of its different context, it would have different critical success factors. Okay, so critical success factors are unique to each organization, and these are required to ensure the success of a project, company, or an organization. Okay, critical success factors are factors that are critical to the success of an organization and the achievement of its overall objectives. Okay, they are key. Here is the definition. Here is the definition. They are the key areas where targeted performance must be achieved. Targeted performance must be achieved. Failure to meet targets for any critical success factor will mean failure to achieve long-term targets and objectives. So you can imagine now how important are the critical success factors. Okay, next, importance of critical success factors. Importance. Critical success factors are also known as key result areas, as the areas of the business or project that are absolutely essential to its success. By identifying and communicating these critical success factors, an organization or its division would ensure its business or project is well focused and avoid wasting effort and resources on less important areas. By critical success factor areas, the company can focus only on most important areas. So it can avoid waste effort and resources by focusing on less important areas. By making critical success factors explicit and communicating them with everyone involved, it can help keep the business and project on track towards common aims and goals. Here is another definition. let's define critical success factors in an other way. Please take note. Critical success factors are the factors critical to the success of critical to the strategic success. These are the factors critical to the strategic success of an organization. One more point. These are factors that are well appreciated by customers. Well appreciated by customers. Well appreciated by customers. And might be the sources of competitive advantage for the organization. So, an organization must have to perform well and achieve excellence in its critical success factor areas. Okay. I hope now you have better understanding of critical success factors. Okay, you can think of critical success factors, for example, of like your favorite brand. Okay, any of your favorite brand of milk, your favorite brand of cereal, your favorite brand of like restaurant, a coffee shop, even a gym, a fitness center. You can think of their critical success factors. Every organization needs to know their critical success factors. Every organization needs to know their critical success factors. Okay, not only organization, throughout the organization, and it should, and staff must be aware of that. Okay, all right, next. Now, we were talking about critical success factors. We need to measure critical success factors. We need to measure critical success factors, so we can see, or we can measure the success. Measure the success. We need to measure critical success factors, so we can measure the success of the organization, or how well an organization is performing in its critical success factor areas. Okay, so we need KPIs. So we need KPIs, key performance indicators. KPIs. For each critical success factor, there should be a measure of performance. Mean every critical success factor must be measured. Okay. These performance measures might be called KPIs, or critical key performance indicators. target should be set for each KPI. That is the point. There should be a target for each KPI. And actual performance can be measured against the target. Actual performance can be measured against the target. For your examination, you may be asked to suggest what the critical success factors or KPIs for a particular entity may be, given information provided in the question. It is worth spending time thinking about what you would consider to be the essential ingredients of success for a particular type of business. Okay, essential ingredients of success for a particular type of business. For example, an oil company or a bank or a television company or commercial property company, a car manufacturing, even the public organization. Public organizations, public sector organization can use these critical success factors. Public sector organizations such as schools or universities or like hospitals, they can use critical success factors and KPIs. Okay, my dear, I hope you are clear now about this KPIs. Okay, align organizational critical success factor and KPIs with the employees' goals and KPIs. I'm leaving it for you. Okay, this is a self-reading. Now, what should be the criteria? Criteria for KPIs. Criteria for KPIs. So criteria for KPIs is that KPIs should be SMART. SMART stands for S-M-A-R-T. S is about specific, M is about measurable, A is about achievable or agreed, R is about relevant or realistic, and T is about time bounded. So this is the criteria for KPIs. Okay, specific mean that KPIs must be focused on a particular clarity. There should be clarity. Mean it should be measuring something very specific, not the broad area. It should be measuring some specific area, not broad. It should be measurable. If you can't measure your success, imagine if you can't measure fill the blank. If you can't measure, then what can happen? Hello? If you can't measure, I am waiting for your response. If you can't measure, you cannot manage. Yes, thank you, Nitisha. You cannot control. You cannot manage and control. Okay, so measurement. A KPI must be measurable. Agreed, KPI should be agreed at various levels of the organization within the performance hierarchy. Should be agreed within performance hierarchy. Okay, then realistic. Okay, it should not be too ambitious and it should not be too low. It should be realistic. And then time-based. There must be time mention or time specification. I hope you are clear about very important topic of critical success factor and KPIs. And now I can tell you from mission, from critical success factor and KPIs, you can expect a question in APM paper of almost 14, 16, or 18 marks. Okay. Here are the questions. We can have a quick look. Question from March 18, question number 1, part 1. Required an explanation of how to achieve the cascade down of overall objectives through critical success factors to key performance indicators at the waste management department. This question is not available. Then there was question from September 2016. Question: require candidates to evaluate how using the suggested critical success factor and choice of KPI would help the organization to achieve desired performance and hence stated objective. December 15, part 2, required our candidate to explain the weaknesses of given KPIs. Weaknesses of given KPI for not being suitable to be selected critical success factor and provide justified alternative KPI. Okay, my dear. So you can, the purpose of including these questions is to help you see better picture, see bigger picture, see big picture, see how it has been tested. And this is a part of what gets measured, gets done. If you can measure, you can manage. Okay, so this is the purpose of including these questions. So you can see it, how it has been tested. All right, any question? Any question, my dear? All right. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And move on. Now we are going to start benchmarking. Next topic. Just we have done mission statement, performance hierarchy, critical success factors, KPIs, and now the next topic, benchmarking and performance management. Benchmarking. Let me link this topic with previous topics. Benchmark. Let's link it with previous topics. We are talking about sustainable development or sustainable performance management. Sustainable performance management. Big companies can compare their performance with their peers. I mean, any company can compare its performance with peers. For example, airline industry. Airline industry we can use. Or in Mauritius, we can consider hotel and resorts industry. Okay? They can compare their performance not only internally, but also externally as well. For example, in hotel industry, such as Beachcomber Hotel, Beachcomber or Rio group of hotels, they have multiple hotels across the island. Not only they can compare their performance, Beachcomber, not only it can compare performance internally, but it can also compare performance externally as well. Okay, it can compare performance with such as Lux, or it can compare performance with Veranda, or There are a lot of other hotels brands as well. Okay, so they can compare their performance with each other. So my dear, the point here. Now, you might be thinking, what would be those measures of performance? Yes, there are several KPIs, or there would be several dimensions of performance. Dimensions of performance comparison. Because I work in sustainable finance, so I can give you more example from this area where every company is working, okay? Such as they can compare performance on electricity or power consumption. Power consumption. They can compare performance on the basis of waste. They can compare performance on their cost per guest room. They can compare their performance on the basis of recycling. They can compare their performance on the basis of human capital. And there are a lot of other areas as well where performance can be compared. This is called benchmarking. I hope you are getting the bigger picture. Let's now come to the topic. It is now easy for you to understand. Benchmarking is a process in which organizations evaluate various aspects of their processes in relation to best practices, usually within their own sector, such as airline or hotel business. This then allows organizations to develop plans on how to adopt such best practice, usually with the aim of improving performance. With the aim of improving performance. Benchmarking provides managers with the means of identifying how well critical areas of the organization are performing. Critical areas of the organization are performing. Critical areas. What are the critical areas? Such as quality, productivity, waste, cost. Okay. Benchmarking involves gathering data about targets and comparators such that current level of performance can be identified and evaluated against best practice. Such comparisons can help organizations identify aspects of their performance which need to be improved. Sources of data used in benchmarking could include internal data, for example, comparing performance of different shops in a retail group, such as hotel internal records. If there's a group of hotels, such as Marriott or Intercontinental or Holiday Inn, for example, because they have hundreds of hotels and they have the data of their hotels, so they can compare with each other. Also, external data about other companies, for example, those in the same industry, or wider external data, for example, government data about employees' sick days. However, note that APM exam, you should not expect just to have to discuss benchmarking. That is the point. APM exam, you don't expect would ask you just explain benchmarking, no. But to apply it to a specific organization given in the case study scenario. For example, in June 2012 exam, one of the questions asked candidates to assess the progress of a benchmarking exercise an organization was carrying out, and then to use the information gained in the benchmarking exercise to evaluate an organization's strategic position. So you expect this type of high-level questions, not just simply asking you explain it or discuss advantage or disadvantage, although you can discuss little bit of advantage or disadvantage of a particular benchmarking type, but the more focus will be on the strategic importance. More focus will be on strategic importance of that benchmarking for the organization. My dear, types of benchmarking. There are multiple types, but you need to learn about 3 or 4 types. First of all, internal benchmarking. What is internal? Simple. I was giving you example of hotels. So different like hotel groups, because they have hundreds of hotels within the group, they can compare performance with each other. It involves comparing one operating unit or function with similar ones within the same organization. I gave you example of hotel industry, hotel groups. This is easier to do than comparing performance with that of external organizations. And it may be the only approach possible if other companies treat their data as confidential, or if there are no external suitable companies to compare with. If there are no external companies to compare with, then this internal benchmarking is good. Otherwise, it would have little scope or less scope. However, using internal benchmarking all alone is unlikely to lead to innovative or best practice solutions, because there is no scope to learn from other organizations. This is the point. You memorize it. Memorize it. Memorize this point, please. If there is internal comparison, then a company may not be able to learn from the best practices applied or used by external organizations. Okay. There is also danger that because the focus is internal, that is the point. Focus is internal, an organization might not pay sufficient attention to the performance levels that other organizations, in particular competitors, are achieving. Competitors are achieving. So there would be lack of focus, or focus can be lost. Focus can be lost. All right. Okay. If I give you example of hotel industry, there's a lot of transformation is going on. Lot of transformation. Massive shift is going on in the hotel industry, in the tourism industry. They are trying to improve their customer experience more and more, optimizing customer experience with use of latest technologies. So imagine if a hotel group is not benchmarking or comparing performance with external or other bigger groups, it may lose the sight. It may lose the focus. All right, next, industry benchmarking. We keep the same example, hotel industry. Industry benchmarking. In this approach, looking at what other organization in the same industry as your organization achieve sets benchmark. There are few common KPIs which every hotel must measure, and they also share as well. Yes, they share as well. There are a few common KPIs, such as like the occupancy rates, for example. They share, every hotel shares with their industry. Okay, occupancy rate, some other KPIs as well. Next is competitor benchmarking. In this approach, information is gathered about the performance of direct competitors from a strategic perspective. The value of competitor benchmarking is that if an organization can match a competitor's performance in an area which was previously a core competence for the competitor, then that area is no longer a source of competitive advantage for the competitor. My dear, for example, Pepsi and Coca-Cola can compare their marketing approach. Another example would be benchmark website and e-business practices. Here we can give examples such as in hotel industry, Accor Group. Accor is one of the largest hotel group in the world. It's a French hotel group. Accor, for example, can compare performance with its like another leading group of hotels such as IHG, International Hotels Group. Okay, so they can compare performance with each other on the basis of certain KPIs, such as how much there is cost per room per night, or like how much they are booking through their own platform, for example, their own website bookings, or booking through third parties, or booking through other platforms booking, such as booking.com or Expedia or other platforms, okay, that offer hotel booking. Understand? So in this way, they can compare their performance. IHG and Accor Group, they can compare their performance. Okay, how much webs they are booking, because if they are booking through website, whole revenue is coming, whole revenue they would be earning. But if they are booking, if the booking is made through third-party platforms, or if the booking is made through other like agencies or agents, then they may lose a part or a share of their booking. Okay, I hope this would help you understand competitor benchmarking. Now let's talk about important point in competitor benchmarking. I have highlighted in blue here. At a practical level, the biggest problem with competitor benchmarking could be in obtaining information about competitor. That is the point. In particular, a competitor is unlikely to disclose information about a process or area of performance, okay, which it knows relates to an area of competitive advantage for it. However, an organization could overcome this problem through techniques such as reverse engineering, which is the process of buying a competitor product or dismantling it, or in order, reverse engineering is good for manufacturing organizations, but it is not suitable for service organization. So here we are talking about service organization. So the big problem in competitive benchmarking is that both organizations which are competing with each other in the same market may not be sharing data with each other. So this is the difficulty, this is the challenge which you should keep in mind with competitor benchmarking. Challenge, difficulty, problem. Okay, fourth type of benchmarking is called functional benchmarking. Functional benchmarking. In functional benchmarking, internal functions or activities are compared with those of the best external practitioners regardless of their industry. Here is the point. Here is the point. You can compare with an external organization that is not operating in your industry, but in the same department, same process, same function you can compare. For example, two organizations operating in different markets can benchmark their procurement and supply chain, such as Nike or Clarks. Nike and Clarks are taking advantage of high quality, low cost shoes manufacturing in Vietnam. Equally, a railway company, here is another example for you. Here is another example for you. A railway company, a bus company, a cruise company, a ferry company, which provide on-board catering, could seek opportunity to improve by sharing information and comparing its catering operation with those of an airline. Okay, although they are operating in different industries, but by the way, in the broader spectrum, they are also in the same, because ultimately they are competing with each other, but their segments are different. If we look at the Porter 5 forces, substitutes, both are substitutes, but still they can share some data with each other, such as in-flight entertainment, in-flight catering, in-flight entertainment. For example, Emirates, for example, if a European train company, for example, a train company that operates trains from London to like Milan or Frankfurt, okay, or Paris, or understand, they can learn from Emirates how to improve their in-flight entertainment and in-flight catering services, okay? So this is about the 4 types of benchmarking. I hope you are clear now. Okay. Now the question is how to benchmark. How to benchmark. By the way, out of all these 4, the most challenging one is the competitor benchmarking. And there would be a question, because there are questions in the past paper on this competitor benchmarking. So the question required the candidates or the students, what the difficulties or the problems the organization may face when they benchmark with their competitors. So this point I have already included. Sharing confidential data would be the most biggest challenge. Okay, my dear. Now we are starting on benchmarking process. Benchmarking process. The benchmarking exercise can then be divided into stages. You can say 6 or 7 stages. Step number 1. Set objectives and determine the areas or functions to benchmark. In step number 1, you decide objectives. Objectives mean why you want to benchmark. And then determine the areas to benchmark. Which areas you want to benchmark? Which area? For example, like I gave you example of a train company, a railway company. They want to benchmark their in-train or on-board services. Or a hotel company, they want to benchmark their waste, their energy consumption, their use of plastic, their use of power, their use of like their kind of like organic food. Okay. Set objectives and determine the areas or functions to benchmark. It would probably not be feasible to benchmark all functions at one time. So it is necessary to choose those activities and areas where benchmarking can bring the greatest benefits to the organization and are crucial to the organization's success. That is the key point. You cannot benchmark everything, but choose those areas which are crucial and critical. This may be based on which activities offer the greatest scope for cost savings or which are key service differentiators. Step 2, identify the performance indicators and performance drivers that will be measured during the benchmarking exercise. Identify. Now, in step number 1, you already have identified which areas to benchmark. Now you will identify KPIs, performance drivers. Performance drivers mean KPIs. You will choose what are the measures now that you will use for benchmarking. Okay, step number 3. Now you will select the organization to study. Which organization to study? Which organization to study? Okay, select organization to study and use as the benchmark. Step number 4, now you will measure your own performance in the selected areas and the selected organization performance. You will measure your own performance and the performance of the selected organization in specific areas. Step number 5, compare performance. Step number 5, you will compare performance because you already have measured in step number 4. Step 5, you will compare performance. Step number 6, you will design and implement improvement programs, because at step number 5, the weaknesses in performance are already revealed. Weaknesses in performance or the improvement areas are already in front of you. So you will design and implement improvement programs. This includes actions and programs to close the gap. This involves analyzing how the benchmarking organization achieves superior performance and identifying similar practices that could be adopted. And step number 7, you will monitor the actions and programs. Okay, monitor. This is called control. Step number 7 is about performance control. So here you will, what you will do? Monitor. You will monitor performance of your implemented program. My dear, that is about how to implement benchmarking process. Okay, how to implement or how to initiate or how benchmarking process would work. Step number 1, you will choose the areas to benchmark. Step number 2, and here is the criteria. Here is the criteria for choosing. They must be critical to the success of the organization. They must be crucial to the success of the organization. All right. Step number 2, identify the KPIs or drivers. Step number 3, select organizations. Step number 4, measure performance of both organizations. Step number 5, compare performance. 6, even you can reduce step number 5 and you can merge with step number 4, measure and compare performance. Step number 6, design improvement program. Step number 7, implement the program. Okay, so that's it. That's it about benchmarking process. Now, in APM questions, there can be a question, APM question. Okay, for example, you are doing functional benchmarking, for example. Functional benchmarking. What can be the challenge in functional benchmarking? In functional benchmarking, you are comparing your performance with performance of another organization, but that is not in same industry. That is not in the same industry. So there can be 2 challenges. There can be 2 challenges. Number one may not be as helpful. The benchmarking process or exercise may not be very helpful for the organization to improve performance, may not be as helpful, to improve performance and achieve best practices. Number two, the selected organization may be resistant to share data. So what will you do? How will you make the management comfortable to share data? What points you will make here if the same question is tested in your APM exam? Ensure confidentiality, and then share the benefits of benchmarking. How will you convince? How will you convince? So you will assure them. You will assure them that the data confidentiality will be maintained, and then the benefits of the benchmarking will be shared. My dear, that's it from this amazing topic, benchmarking. Okay, there is further reading for you. You can go through and enjoy the reading. Benchmarking and comparative strategy, benchmarking strategy position, linking reward schemes to targets. Here are the past paper questions which you can get through, which you can have a look and enjoy it. Okay, all right. I think we can take a little break here of 10 minutes, and after break we are starting with performance management models. Okay, we are will be starting performance management models, best analysis, 5 forces, SWOT, Boston Consulting Group, Porter generic strategies, balanced scorecard. So all these topics we will be covering after break. Okay, so you can take your break time and see you after break. Thank you. Welcome back. Performance management models. How to manage performance. There are various frameworks that you need to study. And we are starting with first, number one, PEST analysis, not PESTEL. In APM syllabus, it is mentioned PEST. You have studied at SPL that PEST or PESTEL model is used for external environmental analysis. This model is used to analyze the impact of changes in external environmental factors or macro environmental factors over the strategy or on the strategy of the organization. But here you will learn how changes, in external environment would impact performance. Yes, my dear, would impact performance of the organization, not strategy. Okay, this is not for strategy, this is for performance, how it will impact performance of the organization. So keep this point in mind, that application of this model is now changed. Application of this model is now changed. Okay, let's move on. PEST analysis seeks to identify the main factors in the macro environment which will affect an organization performance. These factors have traditionally been broken down into 6 segments. Collectively, factors identified through PEST or PESTEL analysis represent opportunities and threats which an organization could face. Yes, any change in macro environment would be either opportunity or threat. These are likely to affect the strategy and behavior of the organization, which in turn will affect organization performance. Equally, an organization's ability to respond more quickly to market opportunities or threats than its rivals can help giving the organization a competitive advantage over its rivals. I mean, how quickly an organization react, to the changes. Okay, whether that is a regulatory change, whether that is a technology change, whether that is a social change, whether that is economic change or political change. Let's talk about political and legal environment. Stability of a political system can affect the appeal of a particular local market. That is true. Shifts in political environment could have direct impact on business performance. That is the point. When there is a move, when there is a shift in the political landscape, okay, for example, whether the political landscape or the political system or political environment is stable or not stable, it would have direct impact on the performance of the organization. Further, political environment also include the preferences, the priorities of current government or the coming government, how the new government would allocate resources, okay, and what factors they will consider more important. For example, their decision about import, their decision about export, their decision about subsidies, their decision about developing new technologies, about new industries. So all this is about political. For example, if I give you example from like Europe, in EU, there's a lot of the EU, in EU, they are encouraging electric vehicles. Okay, there is policy to encourage consumers to electric vehicles. Similarly, the governments are also spending billions of dollars in EV infrastructure. EV infrastructure. Similarly, if I give you example from the US, okay, there is US government is like giving billions of dollars of grants to chip industry such as Intel, such as Samsung. It is offering billions of dollars of grants and subsidies and loans to the chip industry. Why? Because to encourage the chip manufacturing in US. So this is all about the political and legal environment. My dear, I have included a more interesting example for you. Organizations must react to the changing political landscape, such as government policy changes and priorities for certain sectors, such as e-mobility, sustainable development, renewable energy, clean technology, etc. The government might be the nation's largest supplier. This is also possible. Government might be the nation's largest supplier or employer or customer or investor. Yes, it is also possible. And any change in government spending priorities can have a significant impact on business. For example, defense industry. So, my dear, in nutshell, in simple, in short, political environment has direct impact on performance of the organization. Okay, whether performance improves or performance deteriorates when there is a shift in government policy. Next, I have included a few articles for you if you want to read, okay, from New York Times, from like other some sources I have included. You just click and this will take you on the source website. Then I have included some videos as well on YouTube for your broad understanding. Basically, this will help you to develop your commercial acumen skill. Commercial acumen skill, which is now part of APM requirement. Commercial acumen skill. Next is economic environment. The current state of economy can affect how company perform. Of course, the rate of growth in the economy is a measure of overall change in demand for goods and services. That is true. That is true. High growth rate means when the economy is growing, there is something for everyone with the economy, because when the economy is growing, new investments are coming. New capital is coming. New investments are being made. Different industries are thriving. New job opportunities are developing. People income are rising. Employees are moving from one to the other because there are job opportunities. Smaller businesses are getting benefits from that economic growth. Ecosystem overall is thriving. So imagine in that situation, the demand for goods and services will go up because people have income. They will spend more. So economy will further go up. That is good for everyone. Now think opposite. Now think opposite. In case of recession, that is a threat. Recession is a threat. Rate of growth is, or growth is opportunity. Economic growth is opportunity for everyone, but recession, threat. Everything works opposite. Investment fall, capital may take flight, okay? Income sources start reducing, falling, income level fall. People may lose their jobs, so they spend less. So the overall pace of the economy slow down. My dear, there are a lot of factors that can be discussed in the economic environment, but the point here is that how the economic factors impact performance of the organization. I have discussed here in just one scenario. Okay, how economic factors impact performance. Next, social, cultural, and demographic environment. An entity is affected by social cultural influences in the countries or regions in which it operates, of course, and by social customs and attitudes. For example, if a company is operating in China and also the same company is operating in Middle East, there are very different culture, very different demographic, very different attitudes, behaviors. So the company has to follow the local values, have to respect the local culture, have to respect the local habits, local norms, local people expectations. Otherwise, what would happen? What would happen if a company policy goes against the local norms, the local people behavior? They would protest, they would boycott, and there would be many problems, okay, for that brand or that company. And we oftenly see it across the globe. Understand? Every region has its own unique characters and features that a brand, that a company must have to follow. Okay, so this has impact on the performance of the organizations. Next, changing demographics and impact on business performance. Here I have included some interesting insights for you about changing demographics. You can read about it. Next is technological influences. Technological influences, very interesting for you. Rapid changing technology environment requires organization to remain updated with the latest developments and aware of what is going on. Such as, I gave you example of hotel industry, such as, okay, we were talking about hotel industry, that how the big hotel chains are integrating the new technology developments in their operations. How they are integrating new technology developments, e-commerce platforms, websites, how they are using key doors through apps, and they are providing means within the room they are offering a lot of controls, okay, to their customers through their mobile phones. Understand? So technology shift in technology may impact different organizations differently depending upon their nature of business models and type of industries, markets in which they operate. That is very important point which you need to understand. Nature of business models means how technology hit or how technology impact different organizations depends upon nature of their business models, as the change may hit some industries more intensely than others. Yes, think of smartphones, for example, or think of electronics, for example. Now there are new technology emerging, new models are coming, okay, such as development in energy, transportation, food, technology are having a continual impact on companies in these industries. Organizations have to adapt themselves in response to technological change in the environment, okay, change in the environment. For strategic planning, interesting, I have loads of examples for you, but unfortunately we have limited time. That's why I start discussing the examples. I gave you example of, for example, wearable technology. Wearable technology. You might have heard about company Fitbit. Have you heard? we are discussing impact of technology on performance. On performance of the organizations. Have you heard about Fitbit? Hello? Have you heard about Fitbit? Never heard? Have you ever got opportunity to wear a band or a watch from the Fitbit? Okay, good. Fitbit basically, okay, let me open a case for you. Here you will have some understanding of how technology, how shift in technology impact performance. What you can see on screen. Hello, can you see the share price movement of Fitbit? Can you see on screen? Okay. Here is its 5 years performance. And here is its whole life performance. You look at the company start. Its share price started from here, $3.31. Then, because at that time the world was not very much aware of fitness and wearable technology, because in Europe and US and Canada, if you have visited, you know, more people consume technology products, and more people are concerned about their fitness. As more and more people got to know about the wearable technology, its demand started rising, and its share price also started getting lifted up. Okay, and a time came when its share price reached to this level, $148.93. Can you see on the screen? The highest peak share price of Fitbit, 148.93. Okay, got it? And what is price today? 119. 119. But interesting case is, you can see the movement in its share price. Just wait, where I want to bring you to the point. Its price today is almost 107. Okay, let's read something about Fitbit. What happened to Fitbit? Actually, Google has acquired Fitbit. Or let's read something more. How Apple Watch won against Fitbit. This is a very interesting insight for you in the context of performance management. Let's read something from okay, let's read here. How Apple Watch took on Fitbit and won, but can Facebook steal the smartwatch crown? Critics initially dismissed the smartwatch as a fad, but today more Apple Watches are sold than all Switzerland heritage timepiece brands put together. Here I am giving you two types of insights. Not only Apple Watch has won against the wearable technology brands such as Fitbit, that was the pioneer, but it lost its competitive advantage. Fitbit lost its competitive advantage because it was too small and Apple was too big as an ecosystem of its products. That was the one point. Number two, you would be amazed that the Swiss watch industry is considered the leading watch industry in the world. Okay, all the big brands, Tag Heuer, Rolex, okay, these type of brands are from the Switzerland. When the first Apple Watch was launched, nobody has ever imagined that Apple Watch will give tough time to the Swiss whole watch industry. Nobody has ever imagined. But if you look at today's figures, you would be amazed at how the Apple Watch is winning. So what is the reason behind all this? Apple ecosystem. Apple ecosystem. If you are having a watch and you have the iPhone, okay, you have noticed how all these gadgets of Apple, how they are connected with each other, how they synchronize with each other in effortlessly, in smoothly, how they synchronize with each other. Okay, that was the biggest plus point that led to win Apple Watch against other. Let's have a look at this reading. It's a very interesting reading. Okay, Facebook also, okay. Facebook are reportedly debuting its own wearable device in 2022. Can Mark Zuckerberg succeed where Samsung, Fitbit, Fossil, and Garmin failed? Means Apple has failed all these brands. Okay. The Apple Watch has come a long way since it hit our wrist 6 years ago. It was initially deemed a flop in 2016 and failed to win customers over in the months after it launched. Now, it is the most popular smartwatch in the world with a 55% market share that dwarfs competitors like Google, whose $2.1 billion Fitbit acquisition gave it an edge starting in 2019. Facebook is reportedly ready to launch its first ever smartwatch in 2022, but it has its work cut out for it given Apple's dominance. Okay, so the point here is, my dear, where I want you to, yeah, Fitbit launched in 2007 and had set the stage for what would later become the booming wearable market when the Apple Watch launched in April 2015. With a priced range starting at US $349, it required an iPhone to operate and was the company's first new popular product debut since the iPad in 2010. Some like Jean-Claude Beaver, I was listening to the CEO of legacy watchmaker Tag Heuer, debut doubted that it would endure over the years. Yes, that was literally that was the thinking in the Swiss watch industry, that Apple Watch would never compete with it. Can it be repaired in 1,000 years, or can it be repaired in 80 years? He told CNBC in 2015. Can your children wear the watch? And basically, they were given these arguments. Can your children wear this watch? No, because it would not work anymore. The technology will be gone. Less skeptical observers expected the product to be the death knell for existing market players like Fitbit. But consumers were slow to adopt Apple Watch as a must-have wearable. Some early reviews pegged the watch as a hard to understand, how to use with a poor user experience. The analytics from Slice Intelligence reviews. Anyway, the point here is now the Apple Watch, if you look at the latest Apple Watch, it is the, my dear, market leader now. Apple Watch is now market leader. So the point here is how companies, how technology impact performance of the organization. This is the point which you need to learn about from this whole scenario. Okay, how Fitbit share has deteriorated, then Google acquired it, how Apple Watch is giving tough time to the whole Swiss watch industry. That is also very interesting. This is called impact on performance of technology. Hope you have understood all this. Move on. Ecological factors. Ecological factors. The changing climate will bring many challenges for society and business, some which are known now, and some which it may be difficult to predict. It is critical for the leadership management to determine and recognize the impact and consider and strategic planning and decision making. Increasingly, number of companies are now presenting themselves as environment friendly, improving their reputation with the general public. Increasingly, companies are transforming their business models, adopting sustainable business practices, and becoming carbon neutral, cutting emissions from their operating activities. Okay, now you need to understand that how the ecological factors would impact performance of the organization. We can look from the two perspectives. How ecological factors may impact performance of the organization. Number one is impact of climate change on business performance. Impact of climate change on business performance. My dear, you might have heard the news. You might have listened the news. These days, there is a heat wave is going on in Asia. Okay, in Asia. There are wildfires. There are some other problems in Asia. You might also have heard there was in South Asia, there was early heat wave that affected the wheat crop. You might also have heard that these days there are floods in the South Asian countries. The point here is that climate change is here. Climate change is real, and it is affecting all types of business organizations, whether that is a resort or hotel in Bali or Maldives or on the beaches of Mauritius, a tsunami, okay, kind of torrential rains, okay, earthquake can impact directly or indirectly the performance of business organization. We have seen that how the tsunami and how the droughts or how the floods, how the rains, how the heat waves, these are impacting business organizations all around the world. Okay, so we need to prepare for it. Business leaders need to prepare for it. Business leaders need to estimate. This is the responsibility of board, business leaders, business leaders' responsibility to assess, to analyze the impact. And by the way, you might be aware that there is now shift in the reporting standards as well. You might have heard that IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards Foundation, they have introduced sustainability standards. And you might have heard about dual or double materiality. Double materiality. Have you heard about it? Hello, double materiality. Anyone has heard about it? Report double materiality. My dear, never heard? This is, by the way, now in implementation phases. Implementation phases. What is double materiality or dual materiality? On the one side, a business has to report that how the climate change or how the climate factors would impact its business model and performance. But it also has to report how it is affecting the climate or environment. Hello, two ways of materiality. On the one way is to report on how the climate change factors are affecting business performance or business model. And the number two, the impact of the organization on the climate or on the environment in terms of use of natural resources, in terms of emissions, in terms of waste. So it has to report on all this. This is called double materiality, and this is coming now. Second factor is impact of poor environmental practice on business performance. So there would be severe impact if an organization is caught or if organization is found polluting the environment or violating the environmental laws. There would be severe damages for that organization, okay, in terms of fines, in terms of penalties, or even the government may choose to cancel the license. For example, in China, we have seen that how the Chinese government is canceling the license or closing hundreds of organizations which are polluting the environment, or there would be boycott from the customers, there would be protest from the customers or investors. You might have heard that the rise of ESG investment, rise of ESG investments, okay? So investors are looking for now environment, social governance, responsible organizations. So there is massive shift. And my dear, this has impact on performance of the organization. This has impact on performance of the organization. I have included here a small case for you, corporate environmental performance and financial distress evidence from Australia, so that you can read this one, this little for your broad understanding. Okay, let's talk about how this topic is tested in paper. How APM paper would test this topic. Please take note. APM exam question may require students to evaluate how changes in external environment would impact performance, and suggest or recommend suitable KPIs to address these changes. Question number one. Another question can be asked. Number two, another way. Another way. A question may require to evaluate current measures or KPIs, appropriateness to address the changing external environment. Okay, so this is how questions would be asked, my dear. All right, move on. Our next topic is, by the way, if you want to look at the type of question, here is question. Here is question. From December 2018, part C of the question required advice on the usefulness of pest analysis for the company. How pest analysis would be useful for the company. Okay, question, next topic, Porter 5 Forces model. Again, in your earlier studies at SPL level, you might have studied this model in the context of strategy, that how this model can be used to analyze the impact on strategy. But here, impact on performance. Impact on performance. Impact on performance. In the same way that factors in the macro environment can affect an organization's performance, so can the level of competition in the industry in which organization operates. Porter argued that the state of competition in industry and therefore the ability of that industry as a whole to sustain profits is determined by 5 competition forces. Number 1, threat of new entrants. Number 2, threat of substitutes. Number 3, bargaining power of customers. Number 4, bargaining power of suppliers. And number 5, rivalry among existing firms. Rivalry among existing firms. Let's have a look how these 5 forces would impact performance. Threat of new entrants. Strength of this threat depends on the extent to which there are barriers to entry. Yes, higher the barriers, stronger the barriers, lower threat. Weak barriers, strong threat. These barriers must be overcome by new entrants if they are to compete successfully. Johnson et al. In 2005 suggests that the existence of such barriers should be viewed as delaying entry and not permanently stopping potential entrants. Typical barriers are detailed below, such as economies of scale. If existing players, existing businesses are already have achieved their economies of scale, so their cost, average cost is at the lowest level. Average cost low mean they are in position to charge low prices. That may not be possible for a new player or a new business entrant. Okay, so this is barrier to entry. Capital requirements. Certain industries may require high capital investment that may not be feasible or possible for a lot of business organization to enter into that particular industry, such as mining, for example, or oil exploration business. Next, access to supply or distribution channels. Some organization in existing industry might have hold or control over supply distribution channels that the new player might not have access to the same distribution channels. So the new player may be required to either establish new supply chain or new distribution channels that might be too costly, and hence the new player would prefer not to enter. Then next, supplier and customer loyalty. It is also possible that existing players might have loyal suppliers and loyal customers. So in case of a new entrant, those suppliers may refuse to supply or those customers may refuse to buy. So barrier to entry. Cost disadvantage independent of scale, for example. Well-established companies may possess cost advantage, which are not available to potential new entrants. This is the same, for example, economies of scale, for example, learning curve effect, for example, business location, okay? They might have favorable conditions from suppliers that may not be available for new player. Next, expected retaliation. It's also possible if existing industry players already have reached to maturity level, or existing industry or market has reached to maturity level. So in case a new player enter, existing player would retaliate fiercely, and there would be multiple ways they would retaliate. For example, they may drop price so low, new player may not be able to compete, or they may market heavily, or they may push the government, or they may drive the government to restrict or resist, or they can play other tricks as well. Government regulation. Some industries are protected by the government, so new players would not be allowed to enter. And then differentiation. There is also possible that existing players have differentiation. They have their own uniqueness. So because of that, they already have their own strong brand, strong quality. They already have loyal customer groups, already have loyal customer segments. So this facility may not be possible for the new player. So my dear, these factors may work as barriers to entry. Higher barriers, stronger barriers, low threat. Weak barriers, high threat. Next is power of buyers. Power of buyers. It's also possible that buyers would be in a strong position and dictate the profits of their suppliers. It is possible, such as superstore chains or supermarkets, because they buy in bulk, they buy in large volumes, so they can dictate their suppliers on price, quality, delivery. Hence, they would impact profitability of their suppliers. Next, power of suppliers. Sometimes suppliers are in power and customers are on the weaker side. It happens when suppliers are supplying unique, differentiated products or components or materials or other ingredients that would be in scarce supply. There would be no other supplying the same. So they may dictate the price, charging higher price. Okay, so in this way, they would affect their customers' profitability. Next, power of threat of substitutes. It is also possible there would be multiple substitutes emerging, such as I gave you example of, like when if you want to travel, if you are in any city of Europe, London or Paris, you want to travel in Europe, you want to go to Glasgow, you want to go to Berlin, you have multiple options. You have train, you have buses, and you have plane. Okay, so those substitutes, they compete with each other. Understand? And then get competitive rivalry. It is also possible if existing industry or market has reached to maturity state. So existing players would start competing with each other. There would be price war starting, price wars. Understand? So my dear, this is called Porter 5 forces and how different forces of competition impact performance of the organization. Okay, by the way, this question, examiner has a question on this topic, examiner has included in the specimen exam. Okay, in the specimen exam, you can see it on the ACCA platform, specimen exam. This a question on this topic is included. Anyway, now let's talk about how APM question would test this topic. How APM question would test this topic. Please note down. An APM question may require students to recommend suitable KPIs or measures addressing different forces of competition. Recommend different KPIs, suggest set of KPIs, or minimum one KPI for each of the competitive force. Okay, my dear, here you can take some help from this list about measures. Yes, it would be a bit difficult or technical for some students to suggest measures, because you have never heard of that 5 forces model. You would need to identify KPIs for each force, but here is some help for you. For example, when you are suggesting or recommending or identifying some measure for threat of new entry or threat of new entrants, you can suggest measures such as cost per unit of existing brands, brand loyalty, specialist knowledge, capital requirements, government policy, or switching cost. Now, if I ask you to apply SMART criteria, apply SMART criteria on this one, which KPI is measurable? Hello? Under threat of new entrants, which KPI can be easily measured? I am waiting for your responses. Yes. Which KPI is measurable? Okay, let me complete others as well. Then I will repeat the same question. Suppliers power. You can have some idea about KPIs. Number of suppliers, size of suppliers, uniqueness of product, service, suppliers' ability to substitute, and switching cost. Buyers power. Number of customers, order size, difference between competitors, buyers' ability to substitute, price sensitivity of customers, information availability, switching cost. Threat of substitutes. Number of substitutes, products, price performance comparison, product differentiation, switching cost. Competitive rivalry. Number of competitors, quality differences, concentration of industry, brand loyalty, exit barriers, and switching cost. Now, take your time. You have 3 minutes. Choose one KPI for each force of competition. You have 3 minutes. You have to choose from this list. Choose from this list. One measure, at least one measure. You have 3 minutes. I am waiting for your response. This is not a test of your knowledge, but just an interesting quiz for you. Okay, so what measures you have selected from threat of new entrants? What measure? Please don't be shy. Don't be reluctant. We are learning. So what measure you think suitable under threat of new entrants? Diversification. My dear, you already have a list. So suitable KPIs where we can apply SMART criteria and that is measurable is capital requirement, yes, economies of scale, true, average cost, if you can measure average cost per unit, Swasti, okay, and then switching cost. These can be measurable. Even government policy can also be measurable. So these are the measurable. Other are qualitative. Brand loyalty is qualitative. Specialist knowledge is qualitative. These are qualitative. Then supplier power, which is measurable. Supplier power. What we can measure? This we can measure. Number of suppliers, it is measurable. Size of suppliers, more of qualitative. Uniqueness, more quality. Supplier's ability to substitute, more qualitative. Switching cost is measurable. Next, buyer's power. Number of customers is measurable. Order size is measurable. Then in switching cost is measurable. Next, threat of substitutes. Number of substitute products is measurable. It can be used as a KPI. Then price performance comparison is measurable. And then switching cost. Then last one, comparative rivalry. Number of competitors is measurable. Then switching cost is measurable. So these are the quantitative or measurable KPIs. Other are qualitative. I hope you are clear on this topic as well. Okay. Is there any question? Is there any question? Is there any question? Okay. All right. Here are the past paper questions you can go through on this topic. We are now starting SWOT analysis and performance management. SWOT analysis and performance management. At your previous studies, you studied SWOT analysis as a model for like strategic analysis tool. But here you are learning SWOT analysis as a performance management tool. SWOT analysis is a critical assessment of an organization strength and weaknesses, which are internal factors, opportunities and threats which come from external factors, in order to establish its condition prior to the preparation of any long-term plans and making informed strategic decisions. SWOT analysis help organization to evaluate its potential strategic options they could pursue and making an important contribution to improve performance. Contribution to improve performance. SWOT analysis helps an organization in improving its performance, improving performance by identifying factors that may be critical to the performance. That is the point. Identifying factors that are critical to performance, and any change in the values of those critical factors would affect performance of the organization. Okay, I hope you have cleared this point. A SWOT analysis is an effective exercise to get to know a business and look at it from several angles. However, the business world is highly unpredictable, thus the SWOT analysis is useful as long as it promotes action. or it prevents action that might lead to business going in the wrong direction. Anyway, here are a few questions you need to ask about SWOT analysis. So here is internal environment. There is external environment. There are barriers and there are enablers. Strengths. What do we do exceptionally well? This is the strength. What advantage do we have? What valuable assets and resources do we have? What do employees, customers see as our strengths? Weaknesses. What could we do better? What are we criticized for or receive complaints about? Where are we vulnerable? Opportunities. What opportunities do we know about but have not addressed? Are there emerging trends on which we can capitalize? Threats. Are weaknesses likely to make us critically vulnerable? What external roadblocks exist? Is there significant change coming with regard to customers? So these are few of the factors. What are the steps to undertake a SWOT analysis? The SWOT analysis is comprised of 4 building blocks: strengths, what are the key assets, resources, value proposition that give you a competitive edge and promote substantial growth. Weaknesses, what resources, assets, or value propositions are lacking or preventing the growth. Opportunities based on the context. What are available opportunities that can unlock the growth of the organization? Unlock growth of the organization. Threats based on the context. What threats might jeopardize the business in the future? Okay, it can be pestle factors. Or competition forces. They can be either opportunity or threat. SWOT analysis and performance management process. Performance management can be defined as any activity designed to improve an organization's performance and ensure that its goals are being met. By identifying opportunities and threats and helping to identify strategic choices to pursue, SWOT analysis play an important part in planning activity designed to improve an organization's performance. Planning activity. More specifically, SWOT analysis also assists the performance management process by identifying shortcomings or limiting factors, identify critical success factors, determine information needs of the business to measure and report on key performance indicators, setting targets. So these are the different areas where SWOT analysis can help the organization to improve performance. Now, please take a note here how this topic would be tested in the exam. How this would be tested. Number one, an exam question may provide already developed SWOT analysis, of an organization, requiring students to number one, evaluate how different factors would impact performance. Number two, recommend suitable KPIs. Or performance measures addressing critical SWOT factors. addressing critical SWOT factors. You can see the similar question has been tested here. Similar question in 2015. Required an assessment of the 5 existing performance metrics in light of strategy of organization and issues noted in recent SWOT analysis. You can read very detailed examiner comment on this point. And now we are moving on to next topic. SWOT is done. Next topic on performance management is Boston Consulting Group metrics. My dear, this model is typically used as a portfolio analysis tool. Portfolio analysis tool. But here at APM level, at APM, it can be used for divisional performance measurement. It can be used as a tool for divisional performance management and measurement tool. Okay, so let's have a look at this model first. There is a fundamental need for our management to evaluate existing products and services in terms of their market development potential and their potential to generate profit. Boston Consulting Group Matrix is a useful tool which helps management teams to assess existing and developing products and services in terms of their market potential. Their market potential. Such as, think of Apple Watch potential. The matrix offers an approach to product portfolio planning. It has 2 controlling aspects, namely relative market share, meaning relative to the competition, and market growth. These are the 2 dimensions. Management must consider each product or service marketed and then position it on the matrix. This should be done for every product manufactured or service provided. The management should then plot the position of competitors' products and services on the matrix in order to determine relative market share. Here is the simplest version of this matrix. You can see here that there is a high market share, low market share, and then market. This is market growth. It can be low growth. Low growth means market is mature. High growth means market is growing. On this basis, there are 4 groups of products or division. So in this way, portfolio can be either products or divisions. Divisions means, for example, like products mean Coca-Cola, for example, Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Unilever. They have multiple products. Divisional mean, for example, in Mauritius, you can think of ENL group or IBL group. They have dozens of divisions. So they can use their divisional, this model to plot their, to position their different divisions. Okay. So on this basis, there are 4 categories. Low market growth and low market share. This is called a dog product or dog division. Low market growth but high market share. This is called cash cow division or product. High Market growth, but low market share. This is called problem child. Whereas high market growth and high market share, this is called a star. So the portfolio can be put into 4 categories. Okay. Now, I'm not going in detail of these each group, but where I want to focus and I want you to learn here in this area, performance management approach for star. Performance management approach for star. And then I want you to also take another point, suitable KPIs. Suitable KPIs. These are the areas where exam question would test. So first of all, performance management approach for star. Okay, this topic you have not learned yet. There are 3 approaches to performance management. There are 3 approaches to performance management you will learn on the later coming classes. One is called non-accounting, other one is called profit conscious, and third one is called budget constraint style. I am not going in detail. This is not right time, but you can just learn what is suitable. For a star, the suitable approach is non-accounting style. Non-accounting style. Let's talk about suitable KPIs for a star. Suitable KPIs for a star. Please listen carefully, attentively. A star is operating in the market which is growing fast. So, need to carefully choose KPIs. So not to hamper performance. So what can be suitable KPIs? Market share. Revenue growth. Number of new products, services developed. These can be suitable KPIs. Okay. Next is question mark. Question mark is the one question mark also called problem child, operating in low growth market with high market share. Suitable management style for this is profit conscious style. Let's talk about suitable KPIs. This is how paper can test your knowledge. Suitable KPIs. Because it's a problem child or question mark, we are not sure about this product or this division, whether it will be successful, because there might be stronger competitors in the market in which our question mark is operating. So, suitable KPIs. Revenue growth. Revenue growth, market share. We are not measuring profit, keep in mind. We are not measuring profit here. Market share, revenue growth. Then cash cow. Cash cow is the one operating in low growth market but high market share. So, what can be the suitable performance management approach for cash cow? Performance management approach is budget constraint style. Let's talk about suitable KPIs. You know, Cash cow is a product or a division that has the high market share. So mean it is a leader, market leader. It must generate resources that we need to invest in star and question mark. So those resources will be generated by cash cow. That's why in cash cow, we need very strict measures. Cost measures such as cost per unit, admin cost, operating cost measures, and profit measures such as GP margin, NP margin, operating profit margin, etc. Okay? And then there's a dog. Although normally, typically it is advised that dog product should be discontinued. But if there are some synergies with dog product, then it need to maintain. Or if making profits, although its share is very small, we need to maintain. Suitable management style is budget constraint style. Suitable KPIs, same. Cost measures and profit measures. My dear, that's it from this wonderful, amazing Boston Consulting Group. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed learning BCG from a different perspective. Is it? Hello? Have you got a different perspective of BCG? A different phenomena, different way of looking at BCG that you have not studied at SBL. This is the beauty of APM. This is the beauty of APM. Okay, I think we can take few more minutes and finish this topic as well. Porter generic strategies. Now, at SBL level, you have studied Porter generic strategies as a way to achieve competitive advantage. Okay, at SBL level, you have studied this topic as a way to achieve competitive advantage. But here you learn as a performance management tool. There is no question in the past papers on this topic. I'm repeating, there is no question. Although this topic is part of syllabus, but there is no question in past papers. Okay, but we can expect examiner, we can try to read the mind of the examiner, what type of questions can be set. But first, you need to look at what are these generic strategies are. First of all, cost leadership. What is cost leadership? In cost leader, a firm sets out to become the low-cost producer in industry. The sources of cost advantage are varied and depends on the structure of the industry. They may include pursuit of economies of scale, proprietary technology, preferential access to raw materials, other factors. A low-cost producer must find and exploit all sources of cost advantage. If a firm can achieve and sustain overall cost leadership, then it will be an above average performer in its industry, provided it can command prices at or near the industry average. So this is the cost leader. Differentiation. In a differentiation strategy, our firm seeks to be unique in its industry along some dimensions, uniqueness that are widely valued by buyers, and buyers are willing to pay premium prices to purchase the products. It selects one or more attributes that many buyers in industry perceive as important and uniquely position itself to meet those needs. And it is rewarded for its uniqueness with a premium price. Focus is choosing a particular segment of the market. By the way, cost leadership and differentiation are suitable where markets are not segmented. Where markets are not segmented. Listen, where markets are not segmented, cost leadership and differentiation are a good idea. But if the markets are segmented, there are so many segments in the market, then using a broad strategy such as cost leader or differentiation would not be suitable. Okay, so you will need focus or niche strategy. Generic strategy or focus rests on the choice of choosing a narrow competitive scope of within industry. Narrow scope mean a segment, choosing a segment. The focuser select a segment or a group of segments in the industry and tailored its strategy to serving them to the exclusion of others. The focus strategy has two variants. Yes, under focus, a brand can choose either cost focus, where it follow a combination of cost leadership plus focus strategy, or differentiation focus. Okay, so this is called generic strategies. Here I have tried to put a table for your learning here. Performance management and generic strategies, a deeper understanding mean what are the different ways APM questions can test this topic. So I have tried to put in different format. Okay, I have tried to put a different format for you. So nature of information requirement, yes, exam question would ask you what type of information are needed if a company is following a cost leader strategy or a differentiation strategy or niche strategy. What type of information are needed? What type of measures would be required? What type of measures? Yes, here multiple questions can be set by the examiner. For example, you can be given already. Okay, please take a note here on this point. A question may provide a set of KPIs requiring students to evaluate suitability of KPIs, suitability of given KPIs in the context of strategy of the organization, or there would be question requiring students to recommend a number of KPIs or measures, that would address the particular strategy of the organization. Particular strategy of the organization. Okay, my dear. So this is how question will be tested. But anyway, you can try to fill this table. You can try to fill this table. What type of information required? What type of measures? We can discuss this table in our coming class. Okay, but here is a little assignment for you. If you would like, you can try this one. Okay, I think that is sufficient for today. Last model is balance scorecard is left. Balance scorecard. Now, interesting is that balance scorecard has two way to be used in APM. It is a model for performance management. It is also a model for performance measurement. So you are studying it here as a performance management tool. You will study it in section D of the syllabus as performance measurement tool. Okay, so if you would like, you can have a quick go through of this model, balance scorecard. It has 4 perspectives. Okay, just give a read to it. We will get through in our next class as a performance management tool. We will start with this, and in the next class, we will start from the balance scorecard. Then we will move on to topic 6, budgeting approaches. Here we will cover various budgeting techniques in detail. Okay, and then we will starting business structure changes and management accounting. Okay, in the next class. So these topics are for next. Very technical. Make sure you present in the class. I hope you enjoyed today's class. I hope that you got new learnings, new things in this class today. Okay, all right, my dear. Thank you very much for joining today's class, and I would appreciate your participation. This is very important for me. Okay, when my students ask questions, when my students participate in the class, that is really matter. All right, have a very beautiful evening. Thank you very much, and take care of you, your families, and the beautiful Mauritius. See you on next Sunday. Bye.